So which one of you is the bride?
Oh, Dad, yeah, that's not how it works.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Cosmic Circus Review. My name is Vin. With me, as always, is John. And today we have another special guest star. What a special week. We have Brian Kitson, the legend, the king, our head writer, and one of the greatest podcasters on our site. Brian, we're so happy to have you today. What are we talking about, Brian?
Well, first off, that was the nicest introduction I've ever had in my entire life, and probably overinflated my ego just a little bit.
Deserved.
But today we're talking about A Nice Indian Boy, a new rom-com that just is coming out. Yes, you. Always.
Thank you, Brian.
The story of Ben. That's what we're talking about. Yeah.
The biggest flirt of the Cosmic Circus.
All right, let me get into credits just a little bit. Please remember, like, subscribe, follow. Please support us on Patreon. We have so many Patreon members every week. We have to keep updating the list. Get your name on there. Support us on Patreon. All right, Nice Indian Boy, 2025, directed by Roshan Sethi, written by Eric Randall, based on the play by Madhuri Shekar, starring Karan Soni and Jonathan Groff. It's releasing in theaters April 4th. Karan Soni, you guys probably know him from Deadpool. He was the taxi driver, Dopinder. He's also Spider-Man India and Across the Spider-Verse. Jonathan Groff, he's been in Mindhunter. He was in Glee. I know him mostly from Hamilton. I think. Do you guys like Hamilton?
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah,
yeah. I'm a big Hamilton fan. That's great.
But most importantly, you forgot that he just won the Tony for best actor in Merrily We Roll Along, which is super important.
I did not know that. Thank you, Broadway boy.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
For anyone that doesn't know, Brian's got a great YouTube channel. Do you want to plug that real quick?
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, so the Backseat Babes YouTube channel. We also have a website where we do lots of reviews for Broadway, musicals, movies that are musicals, anything that has music to it and people singing. We love it. So, so look for us at Backseat Babes.
Yeah, definitely go check that out.
I mean, John and I were just talking off screen. I would love to get into some a Bollywood tangent with some reviews, and we could even cross over with because musicals, singing.
Yeah,
Boxy goes Bollywood. I can see it.
I love
now.
it. A new banner. I'm gonna have to start making it.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's get into this movie. As you can see, I dressed up today. I have a much nicer one. I could not find it. The problem is almost my entire closet is black. It's very hard to find things. I have to look somewhere. I don't know where it is. Somewhere in my storage or something. But I think I picked this up in Bangladesh, so I wanted to represent today. Okay, so A Nice Indian Boy. Let's start with initial reactions. How'd you guys feel? Thumbs up, thumbs down?
Which one of us is going first?
Go, John. Take it away. Take it away.
Oh man. Okay.
Oh God.
No. Hang on. I believe in showing respect to any filmmaker. It's very difficult to make a film. It's very difficult. I've done it before. And I found out I don't have the patience to make a film. So I know that no matter what happens, what I'll say, I don't think I could do any better than any of these filmmakers. So just want to make that clear up front, no matter what. So let me just go through what I liked real quick.
Okay.
Jonathan Groff is amazing. No matter what he's in, he's great. I think the family, the mom and dad in this movie, almost stole the show. They are,
especially the mom. The mom, especially
the mom. She's got some of the best one-liners of anybody in the entire film. For example, there's one part where they're having an argument and the daughter is involved, and she says, "Are you okay? Is it your hormones? Somebody get her a support pillow." It's just the little quips that she comes up with are really funny.
I wanted to add that her name is Zarna Garg. For me, I think she's the biggest surprise of the movie. Obviously, Jonathan Groff, he's great. We know he's great. But Zarna Garg, she came out of nowhere. When I was researching a little bit, she's a lawyer. Did you know this? She's a lawyer, and then she became a stay-at-home mom, and then she was like, what do I do with my life? And then she became a comedian and then an actor. What a career.
Very good in this film. I actually think the dad's pretty good too. I really do.
Harish Patel. He's also in Eternals.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
He stole the show in that film too.
I also think, I won't say the context, but there is a marriage between, a man in the film. And I think it's a pretty beautiful moment in the movie. And I do think seeing that normalized the way it is in the film should be done more. the big, beautiful, sweet, enduring moment. And I do think that is a great thing that's in the film.
And that's kind of I suppose, kind of the thing this movie will be remembered for. It's a crowning achievement. How revolutionary that is. If you looked in the press notes for this, the director said he thinks this might be the first time it's ever been shown ever on screen. Anything like that.
Yeah, it's very it's a great moment in the movie. All that said, I was very mixed on this film. You know, a friend of mine reviewed. There was a movie a year ago.
Bros.
Bros, yes.
What is this?
Yeah. So a friend of mine, he's also a member of the LGBTQ community. He writes for Formula One Mania, and he said about that film, every demographic deserves a generic comedy. Every demographic, and that's what he said. This is a generic rom-com, no matter who's in it. It's there's nothing that stands out. I think about it. I don't think there's. Besides, like the representation, all the cultural stuff, which I did find all that interesting. The bare bones of the rom-com elements don't do anything different, in my opinion. It feels like 900 other rom-coms that I watched. The other thing, I didn't feel the love between them.
And that's what I was about to say, because I've seen 900 other rom-coms where I actually feel the love. I did not feel anything between them in this.
There's a movie called All of Us Strangers.
I haven't seen that, but
about a year and a half ago. The two main leads at the beginning of the film meet each other it's in the first 10 minutes of the film.
Yeah. Yes.
And there is more sexual tension in that 5 or 10 minutes than this entire movie. The other thing, I'm trying to figure out how to say this. The other thing, I no disrespect to the main lead. I think he's great in Deadpool. I think he's wonderful in Deadpool. I feel like the parents gave a more layered and Even his sister, I felt like was more.
His sister was good, yeah.
It just it almost kind of felt like his heart was not in it. I don't know why, but I never felt the whole time. I was like, it feels like he wants to be anywhere but right there in the film throughout most of the movie, except for one scene. There was one scene where they're talking at a table, and he says I want all of that. I want this. I felt it from him right there. The rest of the movie, I just felt like he didn't seem like he wanted to be there. I'm not sure why.
I would say I think all the performances actually work. Everything actually works except him, and he's the glue of the whole thing.
He's the main character. Yeah. He's the main character, and when you are really got a main character that doesn't seem to have his heart involved in it, it kind of messes up the entire film right there.
Yeah.
But that's my thoughts. Oh, and I watched part of DDLJ. I watched part of it last night. I didn't get through it. It's 3 hours.
We'll talk about it. Great.
But in the first hour of DDLJ, there's more charisma and spirit than this whole film. Yeah. But anyway, that's my thoughts. I'll give it up to Brian.
So this is something that I had to think about this a lot. So I watched it last night, and I'm glad that you mentioned Bros, John, because this is exactly what came to mind, but on a larger scale when it comes to rom-coms in the LGBTQ community, is that we're either portrayed as a caricature, which you see with one of the side characters in this one. We're very flamboyant, we're very loud, we're all about sex, or we're portrayed as boring. And this is what I got from the main character, is that he was the boring portrayal of what a gay person is, because we see this a lot of times when it comes to trying to normalize something, is that we try to show that we're just like everybody else. We're just as boring. We're not, we're either extreme or we're quiet and we're reserved. And it doesn't really give, at least in my experience as a gay man, also as a therapist in the field, that we're more towards the middle of the field than anything else. And so this is where I really struggle with. I love rom-coms. I watch Hallmark movies around Christmas time like they're going out of style. And there is more chemistry in a Hallmark film, which is really sad to say, than I saw between the two of these, because they are so boring. And all they are kind of filled with, they're like all the traumatic parts of a relationship, of like the, you know, you've seen Jonathan Groff's character, he's responding with his trauma of being like I'm not gonna fight, I'm not gonna try to make myself be a part of your family. I want to be accepted, and I'm just gonna walk away. And then you see the main character just kind of, I don't know, he's coasting through life, it feels like, and like he's coasting through this role, it feels like.
It did feel like that, yeah.
And so I really struggled with how boring that this relationship felt. I felt more chemistry from everybody else in this film. In fact, I think that the sister is probably my favorite character because she has the most emotional depth and the most emotional growth through this film.
She's a real roller coaster, yeah.
Yeah, and she's the one that carries this film. And other than that, I love Jonathan Groff. And, you know, I think that you could have easily just taken the LGBTQ storyline out of this and still had a really good family drama film.
And that's the part that I really enjoyed, yeah.
Right. There was nothing to it. So that's kind of my initial thought.
Yeah, I want to say, I think, I can't say enough how much I love the representation in this movie. I need to be clear. My family's from Bangladesh. We're Muslim. I'm not Hindu. I'm not really from like India. So it's a little bit different. But there's so much here that I still click with, that I still connect with. I mean, Miss Marvel for me was like almost 1-to-1. That is my heart, Miss Marvel. And this, it's kind of, you know, it's tickling the same feeling. So I really loved a lot of the like details, the representation, the sets, the details in the family, the cultural things they're talking about, the way they're talking about, okay, so we have this uncomfortable situation. How does the family navigate it? And every member of the family has a different response, has a different reaction. And they're all trying to navigate. What do we do with this? This is a very unconventional thing. We don't like this. Maybe we do. Maybe we don't. How do we fix it? The end of this movie is a complete fairy tale. There's no way to say it any other way. It is an absolute fantasy. The way following the arc of this movie, and I think the director knows that. Reading the press notes for this movie, I don't know if you know this, the director and the lead actor are fiancés. Yes. And I don't know if they're married or not yet, but they were preparing that. They were going on this exact journey during the making of this movie. Of course, one of them isn't white. They're both Indian, but they're both gay. And their families, especially I think the director's family, was not supportive. And so this entire arc of this movie is reflecting his arc in real life, except this has the happy ending. And this has the happy ending where the family supports. And that is what's kind of unrealistic and why this is a fantasy. But I think at the same time, like John was saying, I think it's important to put that out there, even if it's not totally realistic and it's hard to do this in real life. I think we need that symbol of like, here's what it could look like. Imagine, hypothetically. You know what I mean?
That's what I was thinking. Exactly. I have a sibling, you know, who's gay also, and you know, and I've struggled with some of my family, the way they act around him and stuff like that, and you know, I kept thinking, you know, at the end of the film, I'm like, wouldn't it be just beautiful if this were how it would go down?
Yeah.
You know, like it would be great if this is how they would treat him, you know, my family member, if it would just be this giant celebration of love without any, you know, compromises or any judgments or any, like, just like if they were treated like any other Kyle and Karen out there, you know, that got married, it would be such a beautiful thing. And that was the one part of it that I did appreciate that. I did appreciate that element of it. Even if it is a fantasy or, you know, if there's any genre where you can make a fairy tale element in it, it's the rom-com. Rom-coms are always heightened realities. They always are.
What I think makes it really important, though, is even if you want to have the fairy tale ending, you have to earn it. You have to go through as high, low. We have to get there. And that's why these Bollywood movies, like the real Bollywood movies, are 3 hours long. John, we were talking about DDLJ. That spends an hour and a half. There's an entire movie where they fall in love. Then there's an entire movie where it all falls apart. It is a 2-part, like, giant monstrosity. And that's why they're so huge and epic. And you feel so many emotions in those movies because we go through we see them fall in love so slowly, hour and a half. Then we see it all fall apart, hour and a half. I will
say I do think there are some problematic things in DDLJ.
Oh, everyone knows, yeah.
But there are some problematic elements in it. But still, that movie is like exploding with charisma all throughout it.
Yeah, it's really one of the most magical ones. Yeah, I mean, there's many good ones, but yeah.
And that main character, it's void of any charisma and heart. If he did do it just because like their fiance, I think that was kind of a mistake. Because you kind of could feel that he just was not right for the role. And that's kind of I think that's one of the hardest parts in the film. It's just you cannot get into his emotional state because it's void of emotion.
Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, Brian, go ahead.
I was gonna say you had talked about kind of like the fantastical elements of like a rom-com. And this is where I struggle with rom-coms, is that I feel like when it comes to like a heterosexual relationship and you see those films, heterosexual relationships have been normalized for so long that we know what a traditional one looks like. And so to have this where like Vin said, it all kind of comes together and wouldn't normally do that. There comes a point where, yes, we want a happy ending. We want to see the happy ending. But there's a lot of people out there that are seeing that and thinking, growing up and thinking like this is how it's supposed to be, and which it is supposed to be, but that's also not reality of the situation. And so to see something that's a little more realistic and see like a rom-com that actually discusses a little bit more of the hardships of, you know, being gay in a certain culture, being gay in a world where your parents don't understand you, and being gay in a world that maybe is fighting against that. You know, I think like that makes a more robust, like you said, it earns it a little bit more. And I think those are the films that we need to see more than just like you get to have your happy wedding that everybody's excited for, in the matter of this is a 90-minute film. Like there's no, if from start to finish, you have 5 chapters in 90 minutes and you get your happy ending, and there's not a lot of struggle in the middle part.
Exactly.
Yeah, it kind of like does it very quick. Like it starts at chapter 5 and then the problems are kind of discussed, and then it just kind of rushes all that drama like very fast. But I do think the parents do a great job with it. I think even the dad, I was like, there's a lot of great emotional depth even from him. But I do agree. I think it could have been stretched out a lot more, given more time to actually breathe than to like rush that final act into it.
I mean, you got more love out of the 2 parents at the end with the mom's speech than you did out of the 2 of them. Like that, like when the mom's giving the speech, that's what teared me up. And I was just like, oh, she actually does care for him, and he's realizing that she cares. Like that was almost worth the film for me. Like,
yeah, that was beautiful. That was really beautiful, actually.
And I've seen that happen a lot in real life too. Like there's these arranged marriages, and but just from that, it's a different generation, and they do learn to love each other, and in a sense of like we're working together towards a goal, and then over time that love comes over time. It's not like we start and like, oh, we love each other, and then it declines from there, like what most relationships we might think of. And a lot the ideal arranged marriages, they don't know each other, then their love grows over time with them, and that's great to see that in this movie. I think what their idea was, the idea of this movie is good. We all agree with that. The issue we all agree with too is that they accelerated it, and I think the key problem is what they chose to accelerate. So they accelerate them falling in love. We absolutely never feel it. His awkwardness, it is great if they were still in that early like first dates phase. When he declares his love to the guy and says, "I think we should get married," I'm like, brother, you're on like second date territory. What's going on here?
Yeah.
And he feels that way the whole movie. And I'm like, his performance would be fine if we were still at the beginning of the relationship. But this relationship escalates so quickly, but his performance never really changes. Brian, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. Again, it goes back to like just, it's very flat. Like it's just very like there should be a progression in both like character development through the relationship and in the relationship itself. And honestly, this is where I'm so sorry to Jonathan Groff. I'm gonna lose my Broadway license here too. Even he doesn't have neither one of these two men have a great emotional growth together separately. Yeah, there's like, I can't tell you what. One's a doctor and one's a photographer. Like they're like on a second date, and it's cringy, and he's singing like the first date he's singing to him, and it's like awkward, and then like there's just, I think that's why it's hard to buy in. There's nothing there. There's no arc.
But the movie was so focused on what it wants to do on its mission that it says just go with it. Just assume that they do love each other. Let's fast forward, get to this. Now we're at the proposal. All right, now here's our movie.
Yeah.
And but even then, a Bollywood movie would at least like do a montage. And this tries to do a montage. It's not super effective. There needs to be some. You need to truly like La La Land style. You need to like feel their love really quickly, right? And then we get to the proposal. Then we get to the conflict with the family and the family drama. Like I said, I thought that was really well done. But then, John, the dad accepting, that is the crux of the movie. The fighting for the dad's acceptance, and that's the part where it all falls apart, because that's so unrealistic. Fighting for that dad's approval is the thing that in real life is make or break. and you fight, and I didn't understand why the dad turned so quickly and said yes.
Well, I'll be honest, that kind of did work for me a little bit. Only because, because that was stacked on the fact that his romance with his wife was not. He didn't realize how problematic his situation was until like his son pointed that out. And then that kind of becomes a part of it. And then that's when they lead into that conversation with Jonathan Groff. Now, but I do think it's rushed. I think it's rushed, but I did feel it from him, like, because there's a moment where he tries to go sit down by his wife, and she goes, "No, you go over there. You go sit on your chair." And it was like, it was in that, I think it was in that moment where he kind of like, I think what he communicated to me is that he realized he doesn't have what his son has.
Yes.
And that's kind of like what, I think that's what changed it for him, in my opinion. But I do think it moves really quick. It's like taking a shortcut to get there very fast. I wanted to point out there's a sequence at the beginning, which I do think is kind of funny and smart to a degree. His mom is on the phone with him, and she's talking about the movie Milk, right? And she says something to the effect of, "Why is it in all these gay romances, they just look at each other and know they're gay, and then 5 seconds later they're kissing?" And scene later, Groff and him are looking at each other. They fall in love, and a few minutes later, they're kissing. Like it's like making fun of its own self while actually making a comment on the movie. That was just something I noticed in the movie. But yeah.
Speaking about the dad and Jonathan Groff's character specifically, but like this growth of acceptance, again, time seems almost irrelevant in this film, like because there's no sense of like there's not changing seasons, there's not talking about that, but like they're like moving in at the second date, they're like together, then all of a sudden they're talking about marriage. But in my experience with older individuals is that they're stuck in their ways, and so like again, him accepting it so quickly. Almost felt like almost the biggest fantasy of the entire film of just being like you're sitting out in the car while we're looking at wedding venues, and then 3 days later all of a sudden you're changing your recipe to incorporate something that the fiance said. Yeah You know what I mean? Like that felt like again, I was just like I felt like we didn't earn this, and there was those little scenes with the mom saying that, and he was realizing his relationship wasn't right. But again, we're talking about an older man. Like, granted, they don't say how old he is, but I'm assuming from his appearance, he's somewhere in 60-ish. There's going to be more. I don't know. There's going to be more hurdles to getting there.
Yeah, it's going to be more struggle. You're correct about that. Yeah.
I want to add, Harsh Patel is 68 years old, 1957.
Okay. So he's almost 70. Like, and we could argue that his character's probably almost 72. So how many 70-year-olds that have grown up a certain way, especially in a way that at the beginning of the film we're talking about his the main character's sister's arranged marriage. Like there's still tradition here. There's still, and like while the mom is very like trying to embrace it, they make note at the very beginning, we're not talking about it. This is not something that we are discussing. It's a fact. You are gay, but like we're not going to really talk about it unless it's like kind of like between us. When it comes to dating, we're not going to do it. Over the course of these 90 minutes, however much time it is, all of a sudden the dad's going to be like, let me put your fiance's suggestion of dates into the food to show that I'm embracing it, and then all of a sudden I'm going to be okay with the marriage, and like we're all going to be like a happy family. Again, this feels like the payoff's there, but none of the build up was there to get to that.
None
moment.
of the setup. Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely delusional to say, I think, but I would have loved. I'm crazy. I would have loved if this could have been a movie trilogy. We see where he's coming out, then we see the relationship, then we see the marriage. 3 parts. Give them each its time to breathe. But then for stories like this, you don't even know if you're going to get one made. It's a struggle to get one made, and to make that one, you don't even know what kind of budget you're going to have, what kind of like walls you have to push against. So, I mean, it's a miracle that I'm so happy this movie got made, but I hope the next one's bigger and better and has the time to breathe, right?
I would argue that even if you did stretch it out, even if the writing would work better, you still have the problem with the fact that you have a stoic lead actor that's playing the role.
Yes, recast him. I'm sorry.
And again, I don't mean any disrespect to the guy. I think he's, I think he's a wonderful performer. I just think he needs to try to push the envelope in his emotions just a little more, just get a little more involved in it. Because I didn't feel it from him, and it's not a slight against him as an actor. He's done some great work. It didn't register for me in this performance, and yeah. Anyway.
I think that for this film, and I'd love to hear your opinions about it, but I think that if you wanted to tell this story the way it was, Vin, I love what you said about the 3 parts, but like almost like the Star Wars, pick the most important part. Why wasn't this told from the mom and dad's point of view, from the moment of he brings home Jay, and there's the part where the sisters, her marriage is falling apart, they're engaged, and then tell an hour and a half film from the parents' point of view of the mom who's a little more accepting of it, and the dad is not. And like
imagine them bickering and arguing between scenes, and what do you think? Yeah.
Right. And then the gay couple are, granted, I know we need representation, but they're almost a side character in that story because they're not the emotional component here, because they're not the emotional component really of the film either that we currently have.
They're not.
Yeah, it should be the dad's arc. The dad should be almost the main character because he's the one who has to change the most over the course of the movie. That's a brilliant point, Brian. That's great.
It's like Father of the Bride.
Oh, I haven't seen that. I need to, but yes, but absolutely, I know. Yeah,
that's a much better film. A much better film. Yeah.
Okay, I want to go back. I want to rewind a little bit and point out something about like the difference between Bollywood and stuff like this. South Asian films versus South Asian American. The difference is like when you're watching like DDLJ and stuff like that. That's made by Indians for Indians. That's made in India for people in India. That's like that is their like Mission Impossible stuff.
Okay.
Versus South Asian American. This is totally different. Now, this is made by people in America, people like me, who are either immigrants or the children of immigrants. And now we're talking about an American story. And we're talking about the clash between our traditional upbringing or our parents' upbringing and the Western modern world we're trying to live in. So that's what you get in stuff like this and Miss Marvel and The Big Sick, which is where you have stories where now we have our conflict is our American side versus our family side. Do you get what I mean? Like our traditional side versus and everyone has a different relationship with that. Me versus even my friends. We're all on like different parts of the spectrum. I mean, I'm sure you guys could say the same thing for like your own cultures, but everyone has a different relationship to their identity and the different parts of their identity, right? And so that's why
I can tell you I'm on like disabled communities on Facebook, and even from that segment, it's amazing just the either the polarization of what people feel or like just the thought processes. It's honestly like it's intimidating to look at sometimes. But it's among my group too.
I just recently saw a play called English. Have either of you heard of this one?
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
Okay.
I think I might have heard of it from your site.
I just interviewed the lead actress and I got
That's right. I remember. Yeah.
But we talked about identity and just like the strength that it has, especially the play's kind of about a group of 5 people who are studying for the TOEFL. And they are talking about identity and like how age plays into identity and how language plays into identity and how coming over to America really does, like you're not in part of one, you're not part of the other. So you're struggling to find both. And so I think that's kind of what you're saying here too.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I really want to emphasize is, I don't know if we mentioned this on camera or before, but there's so many great Bollywood movies. There's so many great South Asian movies and dramas and things like that. But it's a completely different experience than these South Asian American, this U.S. immigrant experience. And that's why I mean, like I was saying to you guys, we can talk about like if we think this is good representation or not, or to what extent, blah, blah, blah. I personally am just so glad to see things like this get made, even if it's not perfect. I'm glad it got made. I'm glad people are seeing it. And I'm glad the door's opening bigger and bigger and bigger for some more stuff can get made and we can make it better and better and better. Because to me, it's really important to get stories like this. It's so important.
It's like my friend said, everybody deserves a generic rom-com. Everybody deserves one. It doesn't matter who. We all deserve our own generic rom-com.
And I love also, just on that point, just for a second, that we all relate to them too. Even if like I remember there was a movie Always Be My Maybe a couple of years ago on Netflix. And it's like like East Asian Americans. And I'm not from that, but I love the movie because anyway, what I wanted to say is that I'm glad this got made. And the sense also like I'm glad Big Sick got made. I'm glad Miss Marvel got made. I remember when I was a teenager or something, and I remember seeing Miss Marvel, the comic book, in my library and going, what? Whoa. And it just hits you so deep because this is my life. This is like one-to-one. Like Miss Marvel is, and it means so much. Even when sometimes it's not made well. So I'm glad it got made, and it's completely different from the South Asian stuff, because that doesn't touch anything about the immigrant experience or this conflict that we have with our parents or with our families, or in our own divide of, am I American, am I Indian, am I Bengali, who am I? So that's why I love seeing things like this, even if it's not perfect. Just the family drama and them, all this arguments that they're having, all 4 or 5 of them. That is why I watched this movie, and that's why I'm still, despite everything we've said, I really am glad I watched this movie, and I'm really glad. I'm glad for anyone who watches it, just that you can see the side of us and you can see the struggle that we deal with, and so I'm overall I'm net positive. I'm happy with this movie, despite everything we said.
I will say that I totally understand where you're coming from, and I agree from like a culture standpoint. It is fantastic. I love seeing it. I love the family drama of it too. As like a family therapist, it's great to see those dynamics, stuff like that. I do think that this is just from like an LGBTQ standpoint, is there's so much more to go. Yeah. And that this is where it really struggled, because again, it feels like, which is interesting that the director is also a member of that, because I feel like there's something missing. I was like, in my head, I was like, this had to be made by somebody who's not a part of the community, because I felt like there was just that piece missing of like truly understanding gayness.
The love.
Yeah. But I did love the culture part of it.
And it feels like it's over the top about it at times. Even I was like thinking about that. It was like there's certain things that felt like it's like over the top in the way that they characterized it. Like even the Alf TV. The LTV portions, I was like, this is a little, I think, too much.
I think a little bit of some of that Bollywood spice, just a little bit of the over the topness. Yeah,
I did love the LTV part, because that is what straight people think gay people watch. Like, we don't watch LTV. That LTV is for people who want to be supportive of gay culture. So like that felt real. Like, I have not talked to a single gay person who watches stuff like that.
But I did think it was funny, the part where he was like, I did meet this guy. I was pretty starstruck. And then a moment later he goes, oh, really? Did you meet him? Yeah. But he died a moment later. He died right after. And all of a sudden he goes, rest in peace. Ridiculous. It was really funny.
Because he's a doctor. I met him in the hospital. He died. Rest in peace.
Yep. That did make me chuckle.
Anyway, I'm glad that y'all got y'all's terrible rom-com. I'm waiting for my generic disabled rom-com, guys. I'm waiting for it. I want that.
You gotta write it. Give us that generic rom-com.
You have to fight for it.
I'm working on it, man. The only thing we got is Me Before You, and the guy committed suicide at the end of it. So
I'm so sorry about. Brian, John, and I had a whole discussion about how much he hates Me Before You.
It is valid. I will just say this though, John. There is no book in my library that is more disformed from tears as that one.
No comment.
Yeah, I cried too much.
It makes me so mad. So mad. Anyway.
I take that back. Fault in Our Stars. I cried during that one too, and that book is just warped.
I have one more thing I wanted to say. Just connecting one more second to how limited the South Asian American representation is. How few things we have. Oh, by the way, Eternals. That's one of those god awful Indian Bollywood dances I've ever seen in my life. That is an absolute insult. Whatever they were trying to do, and that, like, I know we're not supposed to curse, but imagine the curse words. Delete that. Whatever that dance thing is, delete. Anyway, hold on.
Real quick, I want to just pause off. You need to then turn on Disney Plus and watch Cheetah Girls One World, which is set in Bollywood, where they go there for a movie, and then tell me if that's actually the worst dance that you've ever seen. Because I think
trying to hurt me.
I think Cheetah Girls might have Eternals beat. I'm just saying.
Okay. I just want to say on how limited our pool of options are. This movie has at least 2 songs that Miss Marvel also used, and I understand it. Woo, great! Let's use like South Asian American singers. Let's use South Asian American songs. Wow, that's great. South Asian songs and stuff. Don't use the same ones that the last big one already used. Give us new artists. Give us new songs. I don't know if you guys noticed that or not, but there's two songs that I'm like, this is a great song. This Marvel already did that. Why are there like 5 songs you guys use? Use more. There's more of them.
I couldn't get over the fact that they were using the same house, and I just kept staring at it, being like, this is the same house. You couldn't even give me a new house. You couldn't give me new tiles. Like, if you look at it, it is the only thing that is different is that the kitchen is not at the back anymore. It is moved. It does
look very similar.
But it is the same living room set up the same way, with the stairs in the same place and the same wooden carved. Like, I think they used the same house somewhere along the lines for these internal shots.
I will have to investigate. I did not catch that, but a lot of the setup is very similar. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I didn't catch the music. I'm sorry. I was too busy looking at the fireplace, being like, I've seen this fireplace.
Yeah. Gosh, guys, I need to go back and watch Miss Marvel episode 1 and 2. Those 2 episodes are like the most perfect thing, the most perfect adaptation, just the most perfect like representation. Gosh, and read Miss Marvel comics. It's like just the best. I love Miss Marvel.
I adore that actress. She's amazing in that
Iman
show.
Vellani. Yeah,
amazing.
Great.
Such an amazing performer.
Anyway, that's enough about a nice Pakistani girl. Back to a nice Indian boy. Any other thoughts, guys?
Watch DDOJ.
Yeah. Like I don't know. I could probably grab a list, but there's so many great Bollywood romances where like you feel it. And I appreciate this movie tried to do that for South Asian Americans, but you can't do it in 90 minutes, right? They needed to invest and just dedicate and say, we're going to give you the full story or cut and give a unique point of view, like Brian said. How can we do this economically in just 90 minutes? Okay, from the parents' point of view. And then it makes sense that, okay, they're in love. We can't do anything about it. What do we do? End of the movie. Done.
Or why not make this a series? Why not make this like a 10-part Hulu series? Because I feel like you would have had more time.
Guys, if he was the main lead, I wouldn't survive episode 1. I would not.
But I'm thinking along the lines of something like Nobody Wants This, which has recently been on Netflix with Kristen Bell and oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the other guy's name, where it tells the story of she's trying to date this guy, but he is Jewish and his family doesn't approve. And like people went off the charts with it because it had one of the best realistic relationships because you had 10 episodes to build up to it. You had 10 episodes of the highs and the lows and the how do you adjust to culture and who am I if I let that go? And like there was another form like this story. I'm really glad that I got to see it. I'm really thankful. I hope that people go see it so we can get more stories like this, especially as we're trying to see more normalization with the LGBTQ community. But there was a different format that this could have been told in that I think would have been more impactful than the format that we got.
Exactly. I want to add it was Adam Brody and Nobody Wants This.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, any other thoughts? We good?
I'm good.
All set.
All right. Well, anyway, guys, thank you all for watching. It was a deep conversation. We talked about a lot of topics today, but thank you, Brian. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciated this. And you really brought like not just for being part of the LGBT community, but also your knowledge of Broadway, your knowledge of movies, and it was a privilege. It was a pleasure to have you, dude.
Anytime. I'm always glad to be here, boys.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, man, for real.
All right, so everyone, make sure to thank Brian in the comments. If you enjoyed our discussion, be sure to like, subscribe.
Oh, and go to his YouTube channel. Go to his YouTube channel.
Yeah, that's right. Follow Brian's YouTube channel, Boxy Babes. And the comments, let us know your favorite Bollywood movies, your favorite South Asian American movies, your favorite generic rom-coms, whatever you want. Let us know in the comments. I'm Vin. You can find me on Blue Sky at Vin Writes Words.
I am John, and you can find me at John Movie Watch on Blue Sky. What about you, Brian?
I'm Brian Kitson, and you can find me on most social media platforms at Kitson301 or at BKitson301.
And be sure to follow thecosmiccircus.com on Blue Sky and at My Cosmic Circus where you can find more reviews, articles, editorials, and opinions like the ones you just watched. Thanks, everyone. See you next time. Thank you, Patreon. Bye.
Bye.
And special thanks to our Patreon supporters. If you'd like to see even more videos and extended content, please subscribe at the link in the description.
Thank you. That was actually a very nuanced conversation.
It was good. Yeah. And
Vin, I do
glad.
have a question for you, though.
Yeah.
This was something I was thinking of. What if you were, if you were like in a mosque, and you were praying, and a white boy walked in there, would you question a little bit more instead of just being a little like starry-eyed?
Two things. One, this is absolutely valid question. One of my friends is for Ramadan. He actually was like, I want to try fasting just because. And so he lives in my hometown, and I told him, here's the mosque, here's what you can do. And so it is a valid question. Two, what's wrong with it? There's lots of white Muslims.
I mean, he's just like, he's Jonathan Groff that he's...
No, well, look, first of all, this happens all the time because there's lots of Turkish people who are light skinned. Okay. And there's even like people from South Asia, even from like India who are light skinned. So you do see it. Also, like being in America, anyone can be any background and they can convert. So it probably seems a little bit strange to you guys, but all the time, like our mosque was, I would say, maybe like a third brown like me, and maybe 2/3 brown like me, then maybe like 1/6 black, 1/6 white. Like it's multicultural because anyone can convert or they can come from different countries.
I want to say real quick though, the one thing that threw me off was the fact that the beginning thesis of the film is, I wonder what it would be like when I bring home a nice Indian boy. And then the film, he doesn't bring home a nice Indian boy at all. It's just Jonathan Groff.
So the reason why I asked those, because I work in Dearborn, which is like
oh gosh, oh wow, okay. Yes.
And I've had conversations with clients before where this is like considered socially unacceptable if like in our area, and so that's why I was asking, because they'd be like, no, this would like you if you know, a white boy walked in there, we would have a problem with that.
But the thing is, part of the religion is it's okay if they convert, right? And this guy doesn't even have to convert. He was raised in that culture.
Sure.
So I don't think the problem is surface level, just the fact that his skin is white, because he actually was raised in the culture. He didn't even have to convert as an adult. He was raised in the culture. There should be no problem. And it happens all the time. Actually, in fact, one of the biggest problems with something like this would be if the person doesn't want to convert, then there's the conflict.
Right.
But if they convert and both people are the same religion, everyone should be okay with it. Of course, there's tension in the families. What happens then is they have a baby. As soon as you have a baby, everyone relaxes. But once you bring home this magical little bundle, everyone's like, "Ooh, baby," and it's fine. So I've had this happen with my aunts in the U.S. Mm-hmm.
So no, I totally agree with that. I'm just saying, like, he doesn't question it at the beginning, though. Like, he waits for Jonathan Groff's character to approach him about this. He doesn't he's not like talking to his friend, really being like, why was this man, and you know, I was praying and this man walked in there. Like, he's getting his picture taken. There's not like a lot of, again, I think it's part of the buildup. I feel like that was a real conversation that should have been had, of being like let's talk, like, he waited for Jonathan's character to like offer that information up. Which I feel like, wouldn't there be more of like the inquisitiveness?
No.
Why?
No, not at all. If anything, it would be more excitement, maybe. That, what's your story? How, like, tell me how you converted, or tell me how to put it in this kind of way. Tell me how you came to our religion. How did you join the club? That kind of thing. It's not why are you here, but it's more like, oh wow, what's your story? How'd you get here? Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, but it's never like everyone just stares at them. No, not at all. Because the idea is to welcome people into the religion, to welcome them into the community. Does that make sense? There's no like barriers like, oh, he's not one of us. No, it's like religion is for everyone, not just the brown people. And in fact, it's more exciting when we have more cultures in there, and because we all have this religion in common, so then we're sharing together. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. I love that.
Great question. Yeah.